This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 246 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. By land or sea, please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
I am Glenn the Geek.
And I'm Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
So Helena, just had something very funny happen.
Uh-oh.
But absolutely terrifying, apparently, for my greyhound dog, Glory.
Oh.
So I was doing some research on applications that involve horses for next week's show, because I thought we could do something fun next week. Like, talk about all these weird apps that are coming out that involve horses. And I downloaded one called Talking Donkey.
Uh-oh.
Paid 99 cents for this baby.
Only you.
And I downloaded it because it looked like fun. And now you got to know that about 2 farms up from where we live, which is probably 2 or 3 football fields, there are 2 donkeys that go into a braying fit about twice a day. I don't know what causes it. I don't know why they start. I don't know why they do it. But they just go into this braying fit. And you know donkeys, when they're braying at the top of their lungs, is an interesting, sort of terrifying sound.
It's kind of like me singing in the shower.
Yes, it would be about the same thing.
Thanks. No.
So
You're so fresh.
you said it.
I was trying to be funny, not serious.
And I agreed. So I've never heard you sing in the shower, so I can't really tell. It'd be like me singing in the shower, too. It'd be like me singing anytime. So I thought, I'll just do this, and it has the picture. I open up the app, and it has the picture of the little donkey, and he's all dancing around. And I thought, well, what's it do? So I touched him, and this very horrifying bray comes out of the iPod, and I didn't have my earbuds in. So as soon as I did that, my dog leapt into the air and ran to the window. And then I thought, wow, I can't believe she had that kind of reaction. She never has that kind of reaction to anything. So I hit it again, and she went ballistic. She freaked out. She ran across the house. She was going from door to window.
Really?
And then, we figured out this braying that this thing is doing sounds sort of like a puppy whining. And she had puppies at one point. It sounds like a puppy in distress is what it sounds like. Which, it also does sort of sound like a donkey braying, but it also sounds like a puppy in distress. And I think that that's what it was. And she still is on edge right now. And that was 20 minutes ago. So I was going to play it for you. I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't play it.
Why? Because she'll
freak out. She's just calmed down.
Oh.
So if you want to hear it, it's Talking Donkey, and you can find it in the App Store.
That's greyhound abuse.
I know. That's why I'm not going to play it again. I was going to play it for you on the air, but I can't.
Oh, poor Glory.
Torturing my dog. So anyway, that was one of the apps I checked out. We'll talk about some more next week. I feel gypped because now I bought the 99-cent app, and I can't play it.
99 cents. You're the only one I know who'd feel gypped over losing 99 cents. Really?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, you buy enough apps for 99 cents, it adds up.
I have not bought a single app.
Really?
Since I got my smartphone.
No?
Yep. Nope. And you know what's funny is you know me, I'm like such a techno freak. I have a hard time. Well, it has to be something, you know what it is? I just haven't actually gone through the gazillion apps that are available. What is the need?
Do you have an Android or do you have an iPhone?
I have a Droid.
Yeah, Droid has a lot more free apps. iPhone has a lot more paid apps, actually. But there, the cool thing is, I probably have about 30 apps downloaded now, and I have nothing compared to some people.
But what do they do? Like to me, an app is like, it has to solve a problem. It has to do something for you. There's a lot of junk. So it's like cluttering up your phone.
But I do have, like I have ones, we go to Disney a lot, so I have the Disney Wait Lines app. So you can pull it up and see how long the lines are to different attractions while you're there. I've got weather apps and news apps and.
So why do you need a weather app exactly?
Because this way I don't have to go into the browser. I can just hit the app and I instantly have it right there.
Yeah, well, I have that too, but it's free on my phone.
Well, yeah, mine's free too. I didn't pay for that. Most of these I haven't paid for, but I do have a couple of podcasting apps, and I got Fandango in there. So if I want to look up what movies are local, I can just hit Fandango and.
All right, well that's good. Like I have one. It's called it's a time logger, so I log my billable hours with it.
Oh, you can do it right on the app. Can you print out a bill then from it?
Yep, you can. I can sync it up to my desktop.
I will tell you, if you're ever wanting to record, now that you have a smartphone, if you ever want to record an interview when you're out on the road, there's an app called the Easy Voice Recorder Pro, and it works really, really well. There's a voice recorder built into your phone where you could record, but this one it seems to work better, and I've used that for many interviews now out and about.
How's the sound quality?
Great. Terrific. You just hold it between the two of you, and you don't have to move back and forth.
Oh.
It really works better than most mics I have. and Samantha over at the Eventing Radio Show records all our interviews on her iPhone.
So why don't we do this? Send me a link, will you?
I'll send you a link.
That might be my first paid app.
Yeah, I don't know how much this one costs. I don't even remember. And there's a free version of it too, so you wouldn't even necessarily need to do the paid version. I did the paid version because I really wanted to try it out, but I don't know that you would have to.
Okay.
But it's really cool. It really works well. So so learn something every day. And next week, we're going to go over a whole bunch of these really strange apps that have come out for horse people. So
like Donkey's Brain. That's really necessary.
Let me tell you, it's scary. I was going to set it as my ringtone because you can do that too, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that now.
No.
Have the poor dog have a heart attack. We have a lot of guests lined up today. First, we're starting off with our monthly segment from Elite Equestrian Magazine. We have Karen Burke, who's an equine reproduction specialist here in Ocala, Florida. She wrote an article for them, so she's the guest this month. And then we have one of our favorite guests, Anna Twinney. One of her students out there in Colorado is going to join us. Her name is Michelle, I think it's Dimock. Dimock or Dimock. We'll find out. And she, as best I can tell, collects horses. She calls herself an equine eccentric and horse lover. Couldn't we all call ourselves eccentric, though, equine eccentrics?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think we all
could. For sure. I don't even need equine in front of it.
We could all do that title.
That certainly amplifies it, but,
So she's going to be on talking about her adoption of a bunch of Mustangs, and working to find homes for them. And then we have Linda Saucerhill on with her new book. She's been on before. She writes books about a girl who works at racetracks called Nikki Luttrell, who's always getting into trouble. And her latest book is called The Seahorse Trade. So we're going to talk to her as well. Lots of guests lined up for today.
Excellent.
Well, let's get started with our first guest of the day. Her name is Karen Burke. She's an works for Equine Reproduction Services in Ocala. Well, hi, Karen, and welcome to the Stable Scoop Show.
Good morning.
We appreciate you joining us for this Elite Equestrian segment today. Now, tell us a little bit about what you do before we get into the topic of conversation today.
Okay. Well, I'm the founder and owner of Equine Reproduction Services and Stallion Station in Ocala, Florida. I've been working with reproduction for nearly 20 years now and specializing in the cryogenic aspect of freezing semen and shipping both nationally and abroad.
Okay, cool. Well, now we have you on for the Elite Equestrian segment because you did an article for them that I think is very interesting. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. This is a news-breaking item. I was approached about 3 years ago by Dr. Lee of the Republic of South Korea. And they have nationally and privately are expanding on their riding horse program. At the time, they had about 25,000 horses in South Korea, and they wanted to double it. They also wanted to start breeding their own horses and have their own national breed, mostly for sport horses, those hunters, jumpers, 3-day event, and dressage, but also competitive driving and a number of other prospects, instead of having to go to Europe and the United States to purchase horses for their competing Olympic teams, etc.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's not a lot of horses for a country. When you think about it, Helena, Rhode Island probably has that number of horses. I mean,
yeah, actually.
Just about, and they're very, very specific on what they want and the quality. They'd already started an incredible thoroughbred program, which has really jump-started the thoroughbred industry, at least here in Ocala, with the number of sales that they have each year. And although I'm not involved with the thoroughbred sales, the influx of the money and the interest has done wonders here for the Ocala sales.
Well, and partly, too, South Korea right now has some serious dollars coming in. Samsung comes to mind as one of the companies out of South Korea who is doing very, very well and the leader now in the smartphone world. So they have a big, big, big tech industry, and there's a lot of money coming into that country right now. And it sounds like they really want to improve their teams and their Olympic outlook as well as just being a player on the world stage horse-wise. Is that what it sounds like?
Absolutely, and they want the pride of being able to say homegrown. So these stallions that I'm providing for them, and I'm proud to say that I have the exclusive rights to this entire situation with the sport horses for the United States. So I'm finding the best possible candidates for foundation stallions and shipping them the semen to cross on their mares. Most of their mares that were purchased in Europe. A lot of Hanoverians, Holsteins, that kind. But interestingly enough, one of the breeds that they wanted was Clydesdales. And
really?
I provided Clydesdale stallions from a wonderful place right here in Ocala, Florida, Briar Patch Farm, Lassie Tompkins. And they intend to cross these on Hanoverian mares in particular for competitive driving horses.
Those are going to be some big, solid horses. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Dr. Lee has a plan. He is a private individual who is funding this, but it is with the consent and looking on of the government. It's basically a national project. The Korean Authority sent over 2 veterinarians to inspect my facility and discuss everything here. And we had meetings with the USDA and the NCIE, and this is quite groundbreaking because even the USDA had no official trade agreement of this sort of agriculture with South Korea. So
I'm glad you made that distinction.
Yes, I keep having to do that.
Good.
But we had to start from scratch, and it took nearly a year just for that to come together. And they actually have the most stringent rules of any country in the world. A lot of people think that shipping to the European Union or Australia, New Zealand is difficult. This is even more so. They're very, very stringent, and the picking of the stallions. And we are actually right now, currently, in our second project. The first one was successful. It arrived there late in 2011, and we're now started our second phase and have brought in 2 incredible stallions for this. So we're excited.
Well, I'm glad to see that they're being particular about it too, and rather than as some countries have done in the past, where we just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. Right. The shotgun approach as opposed to the rifle approach here, and the rifle approach gives us a lot less unwanted horses in the end.
Yes, and,
which,
and they do understand that.
Yeah,
they're
good.
very, very fussy about this.
And they're if you think about it, Helena, they're in kind of a unique situation in that they're almost starting from scratch. So they can really control the growth. They can control what happens. Whereas, we're in a situation where, it's just been out of control for so many years. But are they looking at one of the big things that's happening in Europe right now, and I know in Asia, is Western disciplines reigning and a couple cutting and two in particular that are getting very popular over there. Are they looking at quarter horses? Are they looking at getting into any of the Western side?
Well, this is a secondary aspect that we're looking at in the future. They have, on our first shipment, besides the Clydesdale and the Warm Bloods, they also required a paint horse, American Paint Horse Association, and an Appaloosa, and we were really blessed. Tim Zytema sent us Colored by Charlie, who is probably the leading sire in this country. And so they have his semen. And in part, they're going to use it for the colored sport horses, but they're also looking at starting the Western registries. And I've already started looking into starting a quarter horse registry in Korea. The first person I spoke to was Mike Jennings, who is on the HUHA International, the board of directors in charge of International. And he loves the idea. But this is a couple years down the road because they are very insistent on really saturating and finishing the first project while looking into the quarter horse and the Western breed.
Huh. Very interesting stuff, something that we don't think about too often here in the United States where again, we have all of the horses we seem to want. But, certain countries, that's a different ballgame. Well, how exciting for you to be dealing internationally like this now. What's your website?
My website is www.frozen-semen.com.
Okay, and of course, your article is going to be in Elite Equestrian Magazine. Is it the next one or issue coming up?
The next one, I believe, has another one of my articles in it. Okay. In that original one, there was the article on the Korean project, and I believe there's one on an aspect of breeding in this article, that issue that has just come out.
Very good. And, of course, you can find that magazine at eliteequestrian.us. Hop on over there, check it out, and subscribe today. Thank you, Karen, for joining us. Howdy, everybody. Glenn here. We just finished a terrific series on leg protection that was brought to you by the good folks over at Thin Line Global. If you missed it, go to horsetipdaily.com and check out all 4 parts. They still have a fantastic coupon for Horse Radio Network listeners for 12% off your next order at thinlineglobal.com. Whether you buy their saddle pads, horse boots, or tack items, everything is 12% off with this coupon code. Just type radio in the coupon section at checkout at thinlineglobal.com. Well, now we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about the horses in the United States, away from South Korea and out to the West, where we find Michelle Dimmock, who I came across, Helena, in Anna Twinney's newsletter. And she is one of Anna's students, and she's taken on a project that I think is just wonderful. But I also saw, when I was reading the article, about the menagerie of horses that she has living at her place, and that she also drives, which, of course, caught my attention because I'm a driver. But she calls herself an equine eccentric, which I think we could all call ourselves, and a horse lover. And let's welcome Michelle Dimmock to the show of South Fork Ranch. Hello, Michelle.
Hi there. Good morning.
It's good to have you on. So glad you could join us today. Now, I was reading the article, and the second sentence it says, her dozen or so Mustangs, joined by Belgians, Fjords, Icelandics, quarter horses, and, oh, by the way, she drives a team of Belgians. So,
I
so
don't discriminate against
No.
any horse, large or small.
you're definitely not bigoted in any way.
I am not. No.
Now, the only thing I don't see on this list, you might be bigoted in one way. I don't see any like minis or mini donkeys.
I don't.
No,
It's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So she is. She's
But I don't discriminate against them. I just haven't. They haven't come my way.
okay. So
yet.
you're not anti little horse.
Oh no.
No, okay, just checking.
Little horse.
Now, I got to ask you, how did you end up acquiring all these different breeds of animals?
Oh gosh. Good. It is a good question. I don't know.
Glenn, you never,
Her
ever.
husband's
you don't-
asking the same
Yeah.
thing.
You don't ask a horsewoman that question. They just arrive.
'Cause they never have an
they're
answer.
there one day.
Oh, yeah. Well, you start riding a particular discipline. I've taken many dressage lessons, so you get horses that meet that do well in the arena, and then. Well, we expanded out into the beautiful mountains, Carter Mountain near Cody, Wyoming, and I found the sure-footed little Icelandics in the fjords were wonderful for that, Plus, it's kind of easy to get on and off, a little bit on the shorter
true.
side. And started driving one of my fjords, Tucker, and I liked single driving. But then I met somebody who did team driving and introduced me to the big guys. So, alas, I had a team of Belgians.
Now, when
in
you
a
say
second.
team, now a lot of times team refers to four.
Oh, well, a team of two.
Okay, so that's okay. A pair of
Yes.
Belgians.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
have four, but I think that my Bonnie, my mare, would probably wipe out the geldings. She's just kind of a dominant girl.
And whether that big and dominant, their feet are huge and causes big problems. Yes.
Right. I found it best just to keep them separate. So I got into driving, and not only have I done parades and driven downtown Cody, but every year we go on a camping trip, and we cover about 30 miles over 3 days and camp, set up our tents along the way. Pack up our wagons. I have a couple of antique wagons. One of them was built in the late 1800s and fully restored. So it's just a really pretty thing. So
That sounds cool.
Helena's coming out tomorrow, so
Okay,
get
okay.
packed up
We'll
because
go
and
on
I'm
a
bringing a
ride.
pillow and a sleeping bag.
Okay, okay. So anyway, I that's how I got into the big boys and girls. So
well,
So
I think obviously I'm a driver, and I love draft horses. I'm a Percheron guy, and
Oh, nice.
so we can't afford to have that many down here in Florida. You're paying a lot less for hay than we are right now.
probably, and I grow my own hay.
Yeah,
so
see,
it helps.
you got that advantage up there in Cody. But I don't want to get off of Cody there for a minute. You guys are right at the edge of Yellowstone, and I've never been to Cody, but it just sounds like one of the coolest, like, old-fashioned towns in America.
Right. It was founded by Buffalo Bill Cody, who, of course, had his Wild West show that traveled the United States, but also was quite successful in Europe. So you can see in the layout of the town, the main road is very wide open, so that parades and they could bring all the horses and all their show people through the main town. Also, he had a ranch, the Pahaska Teepee, which is right at the edge of the east entrance of Yellowstone, where they would take guests. They would come in on the train, and then they would take them by a open carriage, those mud wagons. They would take them to Pahaska, and they would stay there, and then they would go on into the park. So the town itself is very, it's preserving that history. They have nightly downtown shootout. It's kind of a skit thing. It's really cute. We've got nightly rodeos from June through the end of August,
And
it's just a
Helene and
fun
I
place
could
to
wear
live.
our cowboy boots and our cowboy hats and still saunter into a bar.
You could, yeah.
Yeah,
We'd know you, but we know the tourists. I'm sorry to say, you kind of know the locals, you know the tourists, but it's a lot of fun. We love the tourists. I mean, they
She
they
just called
support
me
the
out.
economy.
Totally called you out.
As long as you don't wear white short, little cut-off socks, you're probably good.
White shorts and cut off socks. No, I'll just show up in boots and breeches. I got it. Me. Fine.
Good for you. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice place to live. People are really down to earth. They're the kind that, they look at each other in the eye, say, hi, how are you doing? And conversations are started all the time. It's just a really nice place to live. And my husband and I have been here almost 20 years.
Where were you before?
I was just going to ask, are you a local now, or have you finally made it over the local line after 20 years?
No, well, I don't know. I'm kind of a married into this whole culture. My husband's, I'm from, both my husband and I are from the East Coast, but his grandparents moved out here in the 1920s to start a guest ranch in Shell, Wyoming, which is about 90 miles to the east of us. Then his mom was born out here, and then, she ended up with the husband being on the east, and I was on the east. So when I married into the family, we would come back to the homestead, for vacations. And then about 20 years ago, decided it would be nice to just live out here. So that's what ended up happening.
Well, let's get into the Mustangs. How did Mustangs come into your life?
That came in about 4 years ago. Anna Twinney from Reach Out to Horses had conducted a couple of clinics at my place, 2 years of clinics. And she was always talking about these Mustangs. And I said, gee, Anna, Cody has its own wild horse herd in the McCullough Peaks, which are very close to Cody. So I was interested in it. She certainly was interested in it. So I ended up joining the board of Friends of a Legacy. And we are a wild horse advocacy group, which is actually quite successful in working with the BLM to preserve the freedom of our 140 or so horses that live out on the McCullough Peaks, which is about 110,000 acres. So I joined full and started to find out what it was all about. And I proposed to Anna, and she was certainly interested in holding a first Reach Out to the Untouched Horse clinic, where I would either adopt or foster some of these Mustangs, bring them to my ranch, starting with about 10 of them the first year, and students would fly in, to learn under her wonderful guidance. And in a week's time, we had the first touch, the first halter on the horses. We started grooming, picking up the feet, doing some preliminary leading, and then from within a small pen, and then gradually go out of the pen, and then at the very end, we had a graduation where they're going up and down the alleyways. It was very exciting. So that I was hooked. I think an awful lot of other students of Anna were hooked because these clinics are usually filled very quickly.
So what would you say? What would you say is the most because you have so many Mustangs coming in? What would you say prominent characteristic of an untrained Mustang when they first get to your farm? What do you notice right off the bat in pretty much every Mustang that arrives?
Well, their level of awareness, I would guess, very much more than the domestics. They also their communication. It's at the pure form. So that's the beauty of working with the Mustangs, because you really learn the language of Equus. You learn their language, and you have to start very slowly. And in the clinics, you will first you'll just go in. You'll just look at them and wait. You see if they'll acknowledge you even coming in. Maybe they'll look at you, but maybe they won't. Maybe they're so either traumatized through the gathering process, or they're just not wanting to have anything to do with a human. They might bury their head and put their head down and not even look at you. And so you'll have to read each horse is individual. So you'll have to go in and see where they are at that time. So usually what happens is, maybe you'll go in, you try to get their attention, they'll look at you, and you'll leave. And then they'll say, wow, that was pretty good, this person. I looked at them, and immediately they left, and the pressure is gone. So then a student will go back in again, and maybe you'll stay a little longer, or you'll make a step towards them. Anyway, it's a very quiet, gradual process, but you're always looking for them to make an effort, and then you reward. And it doesn't, sometimes you can, in that first day, you can touch them, but sometimes it takes a number of days. And in fact, I have one mare here. Her name is Mariah. She's not from the McCullough Peak. She's from another herd management area in Wyoming. It's now, 9 months later. I have not been able to touch her yet. Something happened with her, and I don't know. I suspect maybe she was roped or something that traumatized her enough that she's very suspicious of any kind of human action. So what I'm doing now with her, I have my book, and I sit there on my bucket, and as I give her some food, and I basically read my book. And that's what I've tried all sorts of things before this, thinking, well, I'm in there, I'm raking the corral out, I'm moving around her, but I just wasn't making any progress. So now I'm just, have turned to just being there with her and having her approach me on her own terms. I have no agenda. Hopefully she'll come to me. And, I'm hoping I'll be able to touch her in time. But
patience. I think, Glenn, we need to do a show on patience, because it really seems to be the holy grail of training for any kind. I mean, particularly with Mustangs. So, I applaud you I love the image of you sitting on a bucket with a book, because you reached for a place in yourself. You took a different angle of approach, and you reached for a place in yourself that would allow you the patience necessary to break through to her.
Right.
I think that image is going to stick in my mind for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
It's a good one. Yeah. And in fact, that's I've done that many times. It hasn't, with the other Mustangs that have come here. And then some of them are curious. They'll come up and they'll sniff you, and sometimes you have to move away from them so they don't. They get. Some of them can be right on top of you. They're also different. It's just fascinating to me.
Now, one of the things that I was impressed with is you got those first Mustangs in, and they've all been adopted out, haven't they?
Well, I have to admit, the first round, I adopted them all.
Okay, I'm going to say something here.
Yeah.
In Greyhound Rescue, when you foster a dog or a hound, and then you end up adopting it, that's called a failure. You failed fostering. So you failed it 10 times.
And I'm happy about it. No, yeah, I know. But I fell in love with them. What can I say? And each one, last year, they have continued to be in the clinic. That now Anna will be coming this year again for the 4th time. And my Mustangs are part of that clinic each year. And in fact, 2 of them were ridden for the first time last summer. And I hope to continue their education again this summer. And to my credit, I have one of my good friends, Elaine, adopted one of them, and that mare now lives down in Casper, Wyoming. So there is hope for me. When I find a really good bond between, who comes and who's working with my horse, and if it looks like they will be able to further them and treat them well, then I guess I don't have any problem.
Because if you do 10 a year, you're going to have your own herd after a period of time.
Well, I hope not. We have to, within reason. I must say that this last, I just came home with 4 Mustangs after an adoption. There was an adoption on Saturday. In January, 20 McCullough Peaks Mustangs were removed because that was 20 over the appropriate management level, the AML, that has been set for the peaks. And the peaks, it's about 140 horses that BLM says can, live on that range. So in January, they had a bait trap, which is a whole lot better than a helicopter gather. It's one that involves putting out hay, and then the horses come in. It's quiet. They come in into a pen, and then they are selected. The ones to be removed are selected, and then they're put up for adoption. So on Saturday, BLM had an adoption, and 4 of them came here, but they've been adopted by others, other people. I'm just giving them a home until after the clinic, and then they go home.
Well,
anyway,
we're running out of time here, but I did want to say, I want to give a plug out to Anna and her program as well. You can find her at reachouttohorses.com. That's she's in Colorado. But thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon, and good luck with your crop.
Thank you so much.
Hi all, Glenn the Geek here, and we're excited to bring you a special offer for Horse Radio Network listeners from one of my favorite companies, and that is Audible.com. Audible.com is the premier provider of digital audiobooks. Audible has over 85,000 titles to choose from in every genre: thrillers, business, romance, comedy, sci-fi, sports, and so much more. Audible titles play on your iPhone, your Kindle, your Android, or more than 500 different devices that you can listen anytime, anywhere. My wife and I love Audible books. We've been a member of Audible since 2004 and have listened to over 100 books with Audible. What horse person, who has time as a horse person to sit down and to read a book anymore? Yet I found the time to listen to books on Audible. When I'm not listening to podcasts while I'm riding, cleaning stalls, or at the gym, or driving, I'm listening to Audible books. And for the listeners of the Horse Radio Network, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/HRN. That's audibletrial.com/HRN for Horse Radio Network. And you can download your free audiobook and get your 14-day free trial today. If you can't remember that, just check out our website and you'll find a link to it right there. Enjoy your book. We know you will. Well, next up, we do have our Tack and Habit segment. Well, this Tack and Habit segment is sponsored by Chasing a Fox. You can find them on Facebook at Chasing a Fox. Isn't that what I search for? Chasing a Fox?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And I noticed that you were posting things about the wardrobe of men. And I also noticed that that you were kind enough to leave me out of there by not saying that I dressed exact opposite of all those good, well-dressed men.
You might want to just hold that.
Yeah.
you want to hold your thanks. We stack up.
Great. Oh, terrific.
just don't, yeah.
Good.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I knew I shouldn't have let you have it.
You're not getting away. That's for the shower comment. That's for they're singing in the shower comment.
Yeah, there we go. Well, our guest today to talk about her book. Sometimes we like to highlight books on the Tack and Habit segment, and she has been on the Horse Radio Network with us before because she has a whole series of these books, and her name is Saucer Hill. Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to be back.
Well, it's good to have you back. You are just knocking these things out.
Well, not really. I've written 3, And they've come out once a year, and there are authors now that are doing 2 books a year. I don't know how they can do it.
Wow, I think once a year is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I do.
For those that missed it, tell us about Nikki Luttrell and the mysteries that, if they missed the first 2, tell us about the first 2 a little bit, and then we'll talk about this one.
Well, the first 2, they're both horse racing murder mysteries, and Nikki Luttrell is my heroine. She's a 23-year-old female jockey who seems to be a bit of a trouble magnet at times. And
we know girls like that.
Yeah, don't we all? I know one in my past. But
is that where the inspiration of the book came from? How else can you
write with such authority?
Yeah, really. So the books take place at different racetracks. First one is at Laurel Park Racetrack in Maryland. The second moves to Colonial Downs in Virginia. And my newest book that just came out, and I'm very excited about it because I really believe it's my best, takes place at Gulfstream Park in South Florida at Hallandale Beach.
So basically, if we're ever going to the racetrack, we should check with you first and make sure Nikki is not there, because you could end up dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if she is there, you might want to, keep a wide berth.
So tell us about this latest one. What happens in this one?
Well, the latest one is...
now, wait a minute. Before we go any further, what's Nikki's position? What's she do?
She does 2 things. She is an exercise rider for her boss, Jim Ravinsky, in the morning, as so many jockeys, most jockeys do that. They do go to the track in the morning and exercise horses, but she has a full-time job because her career as a jockey has not been, stellar. So that's what she does. And she also has more and more, Jim is relying on her to help him with training. He ends up sending her to 2 different tracks where he can't be there right at the beginning, and she has to take on the duties of training as well. So it's a full plate, to say the least.
And this one, this book actually gets a little international, doesn't it?
It does. It's called Seahorse Trade, and it actually deals with human trafficking. And the kind of darker side of life. And it was interesting to weave a story about horse racing and a really big, mean horse named Diablo Valiente, which means bold devil, who is very much a character in this story. And to weave that together with the dark side of the illegal sex trade, use of minors. So it's kind of a powerful story, and I really enjoyed writing it.
What made you decide on that particular topic for this mystery?
It's a hot topic. It's a hot button topic, for one thing. And I tell you, I went to South Florida thinking about I would write a novel at Gulfstream, and I stood on the beach at Hallandale Beach Boulevard early one morning, and there was this cold wind coming in off the sea, and you could feel the spray. The water was icy, and I stared way out on the horizon, and I saw this huge container ship, and it was shrouded in mist, and it was like a ghost out there, and I also visited Miami and Fort Lauderdale and saw those big cities with, the glamour and the glitz and the money and the sex. And it just sort of all rolled together. And I thought, God, imagine being in a container, on a container ship out on that roiling ocean. And these 2 cities, what perfect safe harbors they are to spawn something like human trafficking. You've got your docks, you've got the money, you've got, you just got everything there to put it together, and it all sort of came together. And I just thought, I've got to write this story. I've got to do it.
Yeah. Well, now your image of the containers out in the ocean, really, now I want to open the book and dig it. Now I did before, but now I want to even more. I can't wait.
And this is kind of ironic too, because you're talking about a Colombian drug lord, and we had the situation of the real life story of all of the trainers and farm owners that were arrested that were related to the Mexican drug lord.
Oh, I know.
They're just going to trial right now, actually. So
that was a heck of a story, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you kind of have a parallel there.
Well, it's the money. People like to, horses are a way, for some people, they're just a way to show off how much money they have, like fancy cars or boats. And
Or to launder it. Yeah.
Or to launder it, exactly. Yeah. It's not a leap.
Horses do make a great way to launder money. All of us horse husbands have known that for years.
Yes, we've all taken a bath, have we not?
Yes,
we've all taken a bath.
That's funny. Well, where can people find your new book? It's called The Seahorse Trade.
It's on Amazon.com, and it's also available in bookstores. You can get the smaller independent bookstores will bring it in because my publisher is small. It's not as easy to get as, say, a Lee Child, Jack Reacher novel, one of these big popular ones that sell so well. But it is out there, and you can find it. It's easy to get off of Amazon.
And your other books are still there, too?
Oh, yes, very much so. They're still selling, and this one's selling very well. I'm just thrilled.
Well, good, and congratulations. They should. They're good
books.
Thank you. And are you any negotiations for the TV rights yet?
Well, we hope. I have to tell you, the Seahorse Trade
Do you notice how she brushed right over that, Helena?
Yeah, well, there might be because the Seahorse Trade is such a great story that would be so suitable for a movie. I mean, it really would be. There's a lot of action. And just
I
think
see a
once
TV
again
series here. I see a
about
TV
those
series.
ships way out on the cold water, and how would you get back to shore? So there's a great story at the end of the ending of this book. People have told me is one of the best they've ever read. So
okay,
we'll see.
Have to get it. All right, it's called The Seahorse Trade. Thank you, Saucer, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate it.
Well, I can't wait to read this book. Her first two books, she gets better with each one she writes, too. And I liked her first two. This one's going to be terrific. And timely, what we said, the coincidence with what's going on in real life.
Yeah. Yep.
It's amazing how
I don't
that
know.
happens sometimes.
She's a good mystery is a good mystery. And it's perfect timing for summer coming soon.
Yep. And you'll be on the beach soon, so you're going to need a book.
Good beach reading. I hope so.
If it ever warms up there.
Yeah, I know. It feels like it's winter today. It's only like 54.
Oh, really? Your ocean temperature is never going to get warm enough this summer again.
Well, wait a minute. You know what? Where was I recently? I was somewhere around the Mount Hope Bay here in Rhode Island, and there are already jellyfish in there. So it's warm enough for jellyfish.
Still sounds too cold for me.
I know. Not that I want to be swimming in water with the jellyfish.
We lived up there. I don't think I got in that ocean but one day in August.
I know. It's not Florida.
But you can sit there and you can look at it.
Yeah.
And hear it.
In my parka.
That's right. With your little hand warmers.
Shut up.
All right, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with some more guests. Plus, we're going to be talking about phone apps a little bit next week. We're going to have a little fun with that.
Hopefully, not ones that bray at you.
I'm going to make sure that the dog's in the other room so I can play this for you next week.
Okay.
I can't do it. She just got calmed down. So, be sure to check out all our other great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. This week on the Eventing Radio Show, they had a wrap up of Rolex. I don't know if you got to watch any of that, Helena, but it was terrific this year. So they're doing a wrap up of that. And over on the Dressage Radio Show, Reese and Phillip had a couple of terrific guests. A top name trainer from Germany they had on the air, plus the First Lady of Kentucky, Jane Bashir, who's a horsewoman, joined them and I don't know how they got that interview. Reese, actually, I do know how they got that interview. Reese is her riding instructor. So they got an interview with her on Kentucky Derby Week, which is almost impossible to get the governor's wife in Kentucky Derby Week, but they did it. So you'll hear her on the Dressage Radio Show this week.
We would love to hear your feedback, so please send us an email. You can reach Glenn, America's Horse Husband, at glenn@horseradionetwork.com, or send me all your love and positive feedback.
Yeah, nothing negative to Helena.
Nothing negative because I cry. We talked about my emotional state in the last episode. You can send me an email at helena@horseradionetwork.com.
Well, that's it for this week, Helena.
That is it, but there will be more next week, and until then, happy scooping.